Another solid open. What's the beer tonight?
It is a local brew. It is a West 6 Pennyrile Pale Ale. So cheers to that.
That's actually ironic because I usually don't like West 6 IPAs. I guess what I had and liked of theirs a few days ago wasn't an IPA. It was their sour, and it's one of the best sours I've ever had. Real good.
Well, there you go, man. Got to try new things.
I know, right?
Got to get in there.
Broaden those horizons. But speaking of a few days ago, man, I was literally yesterday morning when I woke up, had a beach view out my bedroom window, and now I'm
and you were complaining about the drive to me, like, oh man, this drive sucks. I'm like, all right, you're at the beach, and I'm sitting here, and it's like 32 degrees right now, so I don't want to hear any of that crap. Don't talk to me.
Yeah. It was sunny and warm. Hear the ocean when I woke up yesterday morning, and then I sat in the car for 11 hours, and here I am. It's like 35 outside.
Well, was it worth it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right, then.
Totally worth it. The drive, still not fun.
Wow.
But so what'd you do this weekend?
Actually, I went and taught indoor this past weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a topic for another day, another time.
We'll talk off the airwaves. We're going
to talk about that one after the podcast.
Yeah. So, well, let's just get into it today. So, welcome everyone to the Aged Out Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Fantini, and with me as always is
Evan Worrell.
And before we get into letting today's guest introduce themselves, hit subscribe on YouTube if you're watching there. Make sure you subscribe on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or Apple Podcasts. Something I found out I should have been encouraging people to do this whole time is leave a rating on Apple Podcasts. Apparently that helps us a lot. Costs you nothing. We'd appreciate it. Follow on Instagram and Facebook for updates about the podcast. We have recently partnered with Lone Star Percussion, and they provided us with the discount code for all of our amazing listeners and audience members. You can get $10 off of any order of $50 or more, which, as we all know with percussion gear, is very easy to do. So the code is aged out, one word. It'll be in the description of the video, description of the podcast, all that good stuff. And lastly, hit us up on patreon.com/agedoutpodcast if you want to provide any other financial support. So now that we got through all that,
I'll take it from here. I got you. So, yeah, our next guest, actually, before I introduce him, there are some other people who have done what he has done and hit us up just through some messages on our Facebook channel. If I haven't replied to you, I promise that I have seen them, and I will reply to you. I just get super distracted, so no worries there. There's a few other people. But, yeah, this guy, he was a fan. He listened to the podcast. Like, hey, I'd love to come on and talk. And after talking with him a little bit and obviously just driving back and forth, trying to figure out a time, we were able to nail it down and finally get it going. So without further ado, welcome Louis Renegar. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, dude. Let's go.
What's up, man?
What's up? How's it going?
It's going well. So you're joining us from Missouri, right?
Yes, Springfield, Missouri. Yep.
How close are you to the Ozarks? I just always think of what's his name, Jason Bateman now when I think of the Ozarks.
I am in the Ozarks.
Are you?
Really?
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
No shit.
No. Dude, I mean, I consider it the Ozarks. I guess it's also called, it is considered the Ozarks, I guess so. Yes, I am.
That's dope.
Yeah, man.
Is Jason Bateman running around like selling drugs and stuff? Have you seen this show?
No, I haven't.
Oh, all right.
Should.
So
it's real good.
It's like, all right, yeah. Anyway, it is a good show, but that's what's up. So you were born in Nashville, though, right? Is that correct?
I was, yes.
I pulled that one out. So, yeah. Well, dude, I guess just tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, obviously, in Missouri, kind of, I don't know, how you got into, like, drumming or music or what your influences were. Just kind of, we'll take it from there and run with it, man.
Yeah. So, I guess I was super young. I was probably 1 or 2 years old. And I can't remember, to this day, I can't remember if it was my dad or my uncle that just randomly bought me a pair of drumsticks. Like, I don't know if it was a thing out of randomness on purpose, or if it was or if like they saw something in this 9-month-old baby that just said, yeah, he screams drums. So
You're projecting the aura of just like drumming.
I guess so. And so over time, I was destroying everything with those sticks, and not destroying, like shredding it, like 10 out of 10 in achievement. I'm talking like, literally destroying stuff. So dude, I would sit in the back of my dad's truck, and I think I literally just put, like, going down the road, I put like 4 holes in the back of his seats, just like
Probably didn't love that.
Dude, he I don't ever like recall him reaming me for it, so I can't complain. But yeah, so I mean, I was super young, and I just started playing drum set. I got like an electronic kit, just to keep the noise down in the house, and then moved. Eventually got like a real kit and stuff. But yeah, I totally grew up in the drum set world, super jazz heavy going throughout high school and stuff. I have a huge love for that, for sure. And
I love jazz music. It's so hard.
Dude, 100%. It is. Yes, dude. Thank you.
It's so hard.
Yeah, for sure.
There's so much feel and just like pure timing involved. It's just,
yeah,
I respect those dudes.
Word. Yeah, so went through, stock, went through school band, went through the high school band. I went to Reed Spring High School, which is about an hour, like right at an hour south of Springfield. And I was on the snare line there for 4 years.
Where is that in relation? Because this is like my only point of like geography to St. Louis.
To St. Louis. Oh gosh. It would be southwest of St. Louis.
Okay. So you're like kind of on the bottom part of the state.
Yes, I am.
All right.
Yep.
Nice.
So yeah, I went through the high school gig and all that. And I think my first the high school I went to, it wasn't a I wasn't super exposed to the independent side of the activity through my high school program, but I did get exposed to that side of the activity through it, though, kind of in just one fashion. We went and watched Cavies rehearse in 12. That was the summer
2012. That was the 15 Minutes of Fame show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I thought. Okay, yeah, it was 13 Secret Society.
Yeah, 13 was Secret Society. Yeah.
Okay, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, that was the summer before my 8th grade year. So anyway, fast forward, I go throughout high school, and let's see, dude. I mean, if I just go through it quick, I discovered, Gateway Indoor was up here in St. Louis, and they were around. So I was a junior in high school, had absolutely no idea what I was doing with my hands. Zero idea. Went to, and I was like, oh, there's like this really cool drum line. Like, yeah, dude, I'll audition for that. Like, that'd be so cool. So went and got cut from Gateway 2016. So that was my first experience with the foot in the door. And
when you went to that first audition for like your first independent, were you like watching other people and like, oh, because I feel like a lot of people have that moment.
Yeah, well, honestly, I think dude, I was so oblivious, bro. Like, I really was. Like, when I say I had no idea what I was doing, I just didn't. Like, I could put the stick in my hand and move my hands and play like, some like fast crunchy diddles like all the stock high schoolers can, and
that's a good way to put it. Fast crunchy diddles.
Yeah, man. And so yeah, I learned so much, obviously. And I ended up going to Freedom Percussion, which was at the time an independent open group in St. Louis.
Was that started by Mike D?
It is, dude. Yes.
Dude,
yeah, man.
Mike D. I have some great tapes from Mike D on summer tour.
Dude, Oh my gosh, I have a really funny one from BK 2019 of Mike D on my phone.
Nice.
You'll have to send that to Evan for him to add to his
My collection.
Judges Tapes treasure trove.
Dude, will do totally. I see. So that was my junior year of high school, and I was with Freedom for 4 years, 16 through 19. I had the honor of serving. I was the section leader in 19. In between all my years there, I got cut from a lot of drum corps. I got cut from like Music City, Legends, Pioneer, man. I got cut from Pioneer. Yeah, man. It was like,
I love how that's just like that silence after that statement.
I was just like, all right. I was processing that. I was like, okay, all right.
I had to put it out there, man. And then I eventually, I got a spot at Shadow for 2016. Spent my first 2 summers there, 16 and 17.
I'm going to stop right there real quick because from what I know about Shadow, it's kind of a unique setup, right? They only take high school kids, is that right?
Dude, it's so dope. So they literally just made it an all-age drum corps. Like,
oh, really?
I'm talking I think literally 2 weeks ago.
Oh, all right.
It's so hip because that, no, not being biased because I'm an alum or anything, that drum staff, bro, is it. That is a super dope staff.
Who's the staff?
Dave Scogan is the supervisor, the caption head. And then let's see, dude, I think last time I talked to him, he said that tech staff is mostly the same. So it would be Zach Watson as the battery caption head. He's
bass drummer from Mystique and Cadets. Is that the same Zach Watson? No.
That's Chris Watson.
That's Chris Watson. Zach Watson is the dude at AQ. Is that right?
Yeah, the AQ dude,
Right.
Marsh BK.
Sorry, Zach. I know Zach. I've met Zach. I'm sorry, dude.
For sure. Zach is so legit. Such a good dude. And insanely good at what he does. And then Elliot Humphrey is, I think, going back as one of the snare techs. He's a Monarch BK dude, Colts alum too. Did a lot of lines. And then, dude, I kind of feel bad. I'm not exactly sure. I know the snare staff is that bad. That's biased.
Put you on spot. It's all good.
Okay, good. Then went on to Colts in 2018. My first world class summer, and then
Shout out my dude Oliver Delato.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. He was number 1.
Dude, Ollie was my seat partner in 2010.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah. He was a high school senior or something. I don't even know what he was. He was really young. Had 1 million years of drum corps left.
That dude was really good at a very, very young age.
Yeah.
Dude, it was so dope learning from him. He's so funny. He's such a freaking dad, dude. He's such a dad.
That's funny because I had to teach him I wouldn't say teach him because it was not really a teachable thing, but encourage him not to fanboy over the lines that we're competing. He's, oh, dude, there's Blue Devils. I'm like, yeah, dude, we're trying to beat them. Chill out.
That's awesome. That's so funny. He was super dope. And so went on to BK in 2019. I mean, I guess if I'm just rewinding on that was, I think, I didn't know, as I was going through my open class years of drum corps, I didn't know really where I wanted to be. And it took me a while. And then in 2016, as I was kind of following drum corps, and then my first summer of actually marching drum corps in 16, we got to Indy. We did our one and final run Thursday morning, and then I was like, I kind of want to go check out the BK lot tonight. So I went and watched the prelims lot, and I was like, yeah, I want to be Blue Knight. And then I think I watched that finals lot. I watched that lot all 3 nights, literally sprinted inside just to see the show. From there, it was kind of just always in the back of my head of that might be a goal. So I kind of took that leap, I guess, and was humble enough to make it. And that was life-changing summer. Coming out of Freedom 2019, I guess I was just looking for a new experience, new approach. It was never anything against what Freedom was doing. It was just like, hey, let's I just kind of want to expand my horizons, which is also a huge reason why I wanted to do Mystique coming out of a group like BK, because they are polar opposites in many ways. I kind of wanted to expand. Yeah, I kind of wanted to.
Yeah, I'm nodding my head. Yeah, they have some differences for sure.
Yeah, I kind of came out of the summer in 19 and was like, yeah, I think this is something I really want to do. I think if I can make that group, then I think there's a lot of additional info that I can kind of add to the endeavors and stuff. So like my hands.
I mean, that's not a bad thought. Mystique's been like killing the game for I don't know, 30 years now or something.
Yep.
They are
and up there.
2020 was year 26.
Yeah. So just one of the very, very early in the inception of WGI, just holding it down.
Yeah, dude. So, went to Mystique. I went to Mystique, and I was planning to go back to BK for 2020, and there was a really big staff change. It wasn't really anything against the organization, but a lot of the vets that came off of the 19 summer were kind of like, I think we want to try maybe different things or whatever. We were all planning to go back though, which was going to be super dope to age out at. But
how many vets you think there were going to be if the staff had stayed the same?
I think for the snares, we had only one age out in 19, so we had 7 eligible. And I think by the time 2019 was over, that summer was so kind of, I won't get it too far into it, but that summer was like so it for us that we were like, yeah, let's just all come back. let's just
run it back.
Yeah, let's just literally just keep doing this thing here because this place is special.
Man, now I'm even more sad 2020 didn't happen because like the Blue Coats were going to have all vets in their snare line.
BK was going to be. It was going to be different because Mike left.
No, I'm saying if Mike had stayed, the potential would have been there to have a nasty summer.
Oh, yeah. Dude,
what could have been.
I know.
Yeah. We had such a vibe, dude. Like, those dudes are my best friends. I'm going to Texas in 4 weeks to go see them. The Snares having a reunion.
Nice. Is he going to hook up with Taha?
Oh, dude, I'm gonna try for sure. Shout out to the boy. He's I'm thankful for that dude. I kind of, a lot of those vets were kind of put in a position of like, well, what now? So I, at that point I was heading into my age out summer and I was like, I found my home for the indoor season. I got another year in Mystique left, so I'll just follow the boys out to Allentown. So I was contracted for the 2020 cadets. And I guess if I'm sharing it personally, like there was nothing against the cadets, but I just over time found that, dang, like I literally find myself, as cliche as it sounds, like literally thinking about BK all the time. Like, man, what should my age out summer like truly be, like, et cetera. And I kind of got to the point where I was like, is it really fair for the cadets if they have this dude on this line that's just like not 100% bought in? And so I did turn in my contract.
Oh, wow.
I did hand it in, and just out of respect for the cadets. And I guess, looking out for myself too, like the last thing I wanted to do was be in the middle of my age out summer and be, not enjoying life. And I think I look back on it too now and I'm like, I think I'm okay with the fact that my last drum corps summer was with my dream group. Like, even if it wasn't, supposed to be my very last summer. So
that's extremely, that's extremely admirable. So make sure I have this straight. They offered you a contract to cadets and you handed it back in and basically like declined the contract before you knew the summer wasn't happening. Is that what happened?
This was so got the contract. I went all through the off season.
Okay.
I went all through the off season. I pretty early in the off season. Well, no, that's not fair to say. No, it wasn't super early, but it was early enough to where I started having like those thoughts go through my head of like, do I really like want to do this? And about that time that it got to the level and the point of like, don't do this, like don't do it to yourself, was when DCI was like scissors. So
they kind of made the decision for you then.
Yes.
Or prevented you from having to make the decision yourself.
Yes. I sometimes I ask myself if I would have handed it in anyway, just for the respect of the cadets and myself. And I think I probably would have, if I'm being honest, but, you know, it was just kind of a personal thing. And, I knew at that point that there was a lot of stuff with COVID going down. And I was like, you know, if, Mystique like 2 weeks ago just came off of a killer Dayton finals run at the regional, and we had a great weekend. Like, it might not have been Dayton real finals, but if I have to end my marching career on the note of how we left it and also getting to march that last year, the Mike Jackson era at BK, then I was absolutely okay with it. So,
as you should be.
Yeah,
I think
100%.
Yeah, I didn't march my age out drum corps either, and I can tell you, it's a little bit different scenario, obviously, than like I don't know, it was school and stuff. But I don't find myself here 8 years later, like brushing my teeth in the morning, and be like, man, I really wish I marched my age out or anything like that.
Same goes for me. I did my age out summer, and I gave up my last 2 winters of X and didn't do the last 2 winters that I could have, and I honestly haven't regretted it. It's not been something
I've
that
regretted one of them for you, so it's okay.
Well, yeah. So I did. What he's alluding to is I did 12.
Could have won a gold medal.
And then 13 was Man in the Arena, and I just chose not to march that winter. So I could have won a gold medal in Man in the Arena, and then if I'd done 14 for my bonus winter, I would have won a silver medal with the Razor's Edge. That was a second place year, right, Evan?
Yes.
Yeah, so I missed out on 2 medals.
They won hands both those years, I will say.
So,
anyways.
Oh, well, moving on.
Before we get, I think Mike and I both have some more questions just about BK and your summer and your experience, and then maybe some Mystique stuff as well.
Dude.
But before we go there, I will backtrack a little bit now that we went through your like history and like in the activity. I know you said in high school you weren't really exposed to a lot of drum corps and DCI. But I did listen to another podcast that you did on your own where you talked about your private lessons with Ryan Ellis and how did you get hooked up with that? I know you said that he was still marching BD at the time. Like, how did that come about? Dude. And I guess like...
Yeah. So how that went down. So my sophomore year, what like completely... Okay. I'll back up super quick. Before my 8th grade year, when I watched Cavies rehearse, I think about it now, and I literally don't remember that day. Like, so I think about it, and I'm like, maybe as I was going through high school, I just forgot I even did that. Like, and then I just completely forgot what freaking drum corps was. So anyway, going through, it was my sophomore year in high school. My high school had an indoor program for 1 year. So I was, and that was the year before I started at Freedom. So I was in the indoor program, and at our Missouri State Championships, Gateway came down and performed. So I saw Gateway, and I was like, okay, that's definitely not at high school. What the heck's this? So I checked it out, and I was like, all right. And then that led me into like learning about drum corps a little more on my own. And then that summer, the summer after my sophomore year, my parents and I went to Indy for finals, and we drove up prelims day, watched lots on semis, went inside for finals. And I remember literally just watching this BD lot, and of course everyone knows that freaking 15 line is just awesome.
Smoking,
bro. Nothing better than a beady line on Pearl drums, my guy.
It's been long missed.
I know. Don't remind me how awesome that is. Come on,
dude,
it's just mean.
For real. I'm sorry. I'm saying, hey, those dudes are stoked.
They're still really good.
They still play great. They just don't sound the same.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, so I remember then we got home, and what happened? I think I literally did the stock high school kid thing where I just started stalking people on Facebook, and I was like, came across this dude's profile picture, and I was like, oh, I recognize that drum. Oh, I recognize that uniform. Oh, that dude just marched BD.
Look at that chin. It sticks out.
Oh,
it's so strong.
Oh, dude.
He's got strong jawbones. I got to take lessons from him.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I just freaking reached out to him, and I was like, hey, I'm just wanting to get into lessons and just kind of wanting to figure out this activity. And yeah, I took lessons from Ryan. Super helpful, obviously. Like tons of stuff that he taught me from day one that, still sticks with me to this day, obviously. So shout out to him. Super nice dude. Hands for days. Cool vibe. All that. So yeah.
Yeah, man. I think that your experience in Pathway are really kind of like a poster child for what most people should expect or could expect to go through. I mean, there are a handful that like their first core make it into a top 12, but talking about you got cut several places. You went to Shadow, the high school group, which is, I think, open class, I'm pretty sure. Went to Colts, ended up making it into BK, finishing like 7th place, top 12. But just like working your way up, went to a high school that didn't really expose you, which I think probably 95% of the high schools in the country probably don't expose, but sought out. I think through the wonders of technology, we're able to get some lessons and some information that you just didn't have access to. So I really admire that. Like, you're just like, I got to find ways to like get to where I want to go, which is awesome. Also did I&E. Dude, how was that?
Oh my gosh, you just reminded me I did an I&E.
Yeah, 2017, right?
Yeah. Oh wow, I did an I&E. Okay.
I need to go watch this. Excuse me, please.
No, you don't. Okay, here's why. Here's why, dude. Let me go on my tangent for a second, and it'll lead into it anyway. Anyway, yeah, I did I&E in 2017, my second year at Shadow. I remember, like, it was super cool. Like, the staff was super supportive about it, and just like, it was kind of just this deal of like, try to write it before we actually move in for the summer, so you're focused on our stuff, and get some run-throughs of it and some reps on it during meal breaks, and just don't make it like a hassle. So it was like, cool. Staff was super supportive about it. Out of the snare line, it was just me and then the snare section leader, who did one that summer. And I remember on the day of I&E, so this is the day before World Class Prelims, we were at our housing site in Michigan City, where open class championships are. So we were still in Michigan City that day, the day of I&E. And that morning, we did full ensemble, got some rehearsal in, because we knew the next morning on Thursday was going to be our last run. So we did a couple runs. Our day was over, and they had Derek and I, Derek was my section leader, do a run of our I&Es in front of the core just to get like some nerves experience, I guess, in front of people.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like super stoked about the way it turned out, like as far as like the way I put it together and the way I wrote it. Like, I was really excited about it. And I remember having just what I felt. Now, I was trash back then. Like, I was garbage. But in that moment when I didn't know I was that garbage, I did the run in front of the core, and I was like, this is dope. Like, I feel like I just had a really great run. I'm ready to go do this thing. So we get on the bus, we go there, and we're like sitting in traffic, and we're in Michigan City still. So our drive was like 2 hours away. So we had to leave early. We're sitting in traffic, and all of a sudden, Derek and I get text from our core director who's on, the staff bus, and he's like, yo, Lou, you're on first, I know, and just to let you know, our ETA is like literally 11 minutes before you go on. And I was like, oh my God, okay.
Get the pad hands going.
Get the pad going. So I'm like kind of playing stupid amount of 8 on a hand. I change on the bus. I get off the bus. I get there. I do like, I think literally 1 rep of short, long outside the convention center. Like I just sprinted off this bus and freaking set my drum up and did this rep. And I was like, well, here we go. And it didn't help that Ryan Ellis was before me and Bryce Gardner was after me.
Dude, what a sandwich.
Good luck.
I was in between the two dudes that are just incredible at what they do.
They finished first and second.
So I remember that, and and I just remember that I just crapped the bed. Every single thing in that run, I crapped the bed. And Jeff Prosperi walks up to me afterwards, and he looks at me and he goes, "You're a really good drummer, dude." And I was sitting there in my head like, I am. And so that was cool. He like had a lot of cool insight. You like get to talk to him for a couple of minutes afterwards. So I don't know how I don't care where I finished, but I don't know how he gave me 5th in hands. But like 6th overall. Like if you dudes know who Zach Wilson is, he's a current center at Pulse. He's a Chino Hills kid.
I think I know who he is.
To this day, I have no problem admitting dude's a better drummer than me than I ever was. And even back then,
me too.
Same.
He was in his first summer at Stars, and like Prosperi had me over him, and I was like, what? Why? What are you like? Are you feeling okay, Jeff? So anyway, but it was
Jeff's
super cool.
Usually pretty nails, but he's done some stuff over the years. I'm like, really?
Yeah, shout out. He was super kind when I got to talk to him. He was super down to earth. So, but that was an awesome experience. Yeah, I thank you for reminding me that is an existent thing. Please tell me
immortalized on YouTube.
It's on YouTube, bro. You ruined my night. Are you serious?
I think so. I'm pretty sure I found it on there.
Oh no!
Usually
I'll look
all
real
get
quick
put
for
up
you.
there. Usually they all get put up there.
Actually, they're not all up there because I just looked when I was looking at the finish order that there's a kid that I teach in the winter who was 12th on that, and I'm gonna make fun of him for it now. But
oh my god!
Yeah, who was marching pioneer at the time? So full circle there, getting cut by a pioneer for you. But I typed in your name. Yeah, I typed in your name. Yeah, there it is. I think that's you.
It's on YouTube, bro. Oh my god!
How many views? How many views does it have?
Not many.
Oh, there you go. You don't need to be worried. No one's seen it until they listen to this
God.
and then go find it.
Yeah. It's all good. When I was, I never did INE, so.
No, I never wanted to.
Yeah, there we go.
That's funny.
So I just had to bring that one back. I guess we'll shift gears a little bit too. I know that Mike and I want to pick your brain just a little bit about some stuff that happened over the course of your summer with BK. Some of it just by Mike Jackson himself and like kind of the wizard he is, and then some of the stuff as far as like the show logistics and like environmental challenges that were showcased. Mike obviously, for a lot of people who have listened, Michael Fantini with me did spend a summer with Mike Jackson, but it was also with Tom Rarick, Eric Shriver, Mike Jackson, Roger Carter. So
yes,
it wasn't quite. It obviously wasn't his group.
Yeah, I got a Mike Jackson experience. I didn't get the full Mike Jackson experience because I feel like how I would put it. Like Tom Rarick wrote the book, so Mike wasn't writing. Most of the. I mean, there were plenty of times where Mike ran rehearsals with the battery or the percussion ensemble. Plenty of times like that where he was in front of the snare line for a short period of time, so I still was taught by him. But after watching how BK has been with him running the show and writing, I, again, didn't get the full Mike Jackson experience, which he's extremely good at what he does, and that's pretty much all I would have to say about that.
Dude.
So I feel like with Mike and his writing, and Kevin too, in the front, that they do not. I'm trying to think of the way to phrase this. They care about the musicality above all, and they will not be afraid to write things that most people would not write.
Right.
Because they I don't care if it ticks for now or maybe even ever, but this is what I want. This is what I want it to sound like. Because there's some stuff that is super exposed and super cold attack just out of nowhere. Do you feel like that's kind of the vibe, or when he's talking about the beats to you guys, hey, this is the intent, or this is what we want to have happen?
Yeah, dude, he is. I admire what him and Kate Shaw do so much, because they you hear a lot of designers and arrangers, I feel talk about hey, we are a very musical group, we are a very expressive group, we have performance quality to us, etc. But I just don't know how many groups truly and literally tell a story through battery notes. Mike would always talk to us about hey, this is, I wrote this for this reason. Every note I put on this page has a purpose, has an exact reason to it. Do you guys, this is going to seem off track, but it's not. Have you guys, either of you listened to the Rudimental Mindset podcast?
I have not.
I have not either.
Okay, so it is ran by by the BK19 quad section leader, Nick Rendell, and he just had Mike and Veronica Wicks, who is the caption head, on for an episode. Definitely recommend going and checking that out as soon as you guys can, because he talks a lot about what I'm going to talk about, because I've heard him talk about it. But no, he. First of all, I guess a lot of it bleeds into. It is obvious that him and Kevin do not play the game, and they don't. I truly believe that they could care less about winning a Fred Sanford, and I believe that they aren't out to play it safe just to have a higher number on the recap, but they are out to support the ensemble in the fullest way possible. Mike would talk about a lot in regards to how they try to approach supporting, how can the battery voice not sound like a battery? How can it sound like this underlining chord of the chord that's already there with the whole ensemble, whether it's the front ensemble, the horn line, etc.
He wants to create one product, one thing that's one ensemble, versus you can hear all the different segments throughout as a chorus performing. He wants it to be one uniform thing.
Absolutely.
Speaking of that, I find his ability to use the bass line to
oh my god
juxtapose melody and counter melody.
Yes.
So incredible. I'm watching them are people catching this? I'm looking around, I'm yeah, everybody's vibing and nodding their head, but this is wild.
Yeah. Dude, no, for sure. And the same goes for, I was just talking to, I write for a few high schools, and I was just talking to a buddy of mine the other day who also writes for some high schools, and we were talking about writing in general. And we got on the topic of Mike, and he was asking me about Mike's approach, and I was like, dude, or what did he say to me? Yeah, my buddy asked, why are Mike's world-class quad rounds so easy? And I'm like, that is a fair point, but are they? And I guess what I mean by that is like, and he wouldn't talk about this as much. Obviously, it's kind of like a subsection related thing, so he not really expose it to the whole battery as much. But the way that I heard some tech staff talk about it, and kind of what I personally picked up on it, was like the human ear loves consistency. Like, and I guess when I say consistency in the term of melody, I mean like, you know, you can watch any bass line in the world play their bass feature and it's nothing, and like literally every single note is on a different drum. Like there is no sustain of melody anywhere. And same with like a quad feature. Like the arounds are like absolutely off the charts. They don't stop crossing over and whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that was something Mike always, and he got the staff to express too, is like, there's not a right or wrong way. It's just the way we kind of personally approach it. But I thought it was really cool, like hearing kind of them talk about it a little bit over time. And then I would like go back every once in a while and watch any Mike Jackson book, whether it's BK, BCP, anyone. And I was like, that quad line literally just played like a 12 count roll all on drum one. And they like, like what's going on? And I kind of think about it and I'm like, yeah, it's because the trumpets are sustaining one note, or the mellows are sustaining this chord that is just sitting there and it's beautiful and it's consistent. So why does he want this consistent sound in one ear and then in the other ear you hear so no,
dude, I love that. Yeah. And he does such a great job of, not to cut you off, but I'll let you keep going for sure.
Dude, no.
But I had this thought earlier. I was just revisiting before we did this podcast. I watched the show and then I watched some lot videos and I was like, man, his book reminds me in a way of like great comedians. Not that it's funny, but it does make me laugh out of like sheer giddiness watching his drum books. But like a great comic has a joke and then at the end of it, like they kind of bring it back full circle and you're like, oh, and he does that so often with like rhythmic motifs and stuff like that. Cha cha, or like the stick clicks and stuff like that, and you're just like, and you're just like, and it happens again, and you're just like, oh, I recognize that. It like brings you fulfillment as a listener to watch it and listen to it.
Dude, absolutely. So, and like,
it's pretty wild.
That was always really cool, just kind of learning about that. And dude, especially like being a high school writer, like getting to take that. That's something that is so fulfilling to take, to, you know, not steal, but like be inspired by for my own high school writing, because it's like, man, these high school quad lines can't play the craziest rounds anyway. So I guess I'll use this idea.
Universally applicable.
Right. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And so that's always really nice to kind of have in the back of my brain, like when I'm sitting there writing my own stuff. And yeah, and I don't know, like it's really cool. Mike would, you know, I don't know if you guys ever heard this anywhere, but when I say that it was cool to learn about how Mike will take an idea, like he'll sit there and think about, how am I going to tell the story? Whether it's a voiceover, what's the voiceover saying? Whether it's literally whether it's a sample in the pit, whatever it is, he does that so well in the voice of the battery, to where it's like you actually wouldn't think about it until, not necessarily until someone tells you, but maybe until you like hear it or see it a couple times. But like there's so many examples, like, I don't know, 2014 BK, when the snares literally play eighth notes in the beginning and have the isolated 16th partial. That
I remember that.
That was literally written because that voiceover is saying, I've always heard your entire life flashes in front of your eyes the second before you die. And the eighth note is the ticking in the clock, and the isolated 16th is that 1 second.
Nice.
Mind blown.
Like
nuance.
Yeah, like he literally, like in 2019 BK, obviously not trying to be biased, just so I can relate to it. if you've seen the show, in the ballad, Mike decided to go a little off and send the snares on No Man's Land over on the
5-yard line, bro.
5-yard line. And at the very end of the ballad, the horn line is, stock horn line ballad. They're blasting this chord. It cuts off, and the snares are still playing a roll that's going down. And before that, the snares kind of enter with just the most subtle concert snare stick, just low end stuff that kind of comes out of nowhere, out of silence. And that was representing you having like a flashback or a memory where you're just thinking about one thing, and next thing you know, you think about something and it catches your attention.
Squirrel.
Yeah, and so that was kind of an idea behind that from what he would kind of talk to us about. And there's a lot of those things like in all of his books, so especially in Broken City. So but yeah, man.
Yeah, I guess that's a good segue to like you talking about that 5-yard line thing. I had a couple notes on that, just of some of those wild environmental exposure moments. Obviously, the beginning of the show starts with just those like endo decrescendo rolls where you're turning front field, turning back field, and like it feels like every one or like every other one or whatever, like the tempo's adjusting is what it seems like. I know the last one, I guess, speed up a little bit. Is that right?
Yeah, so basically what that was the horn line. The horn line was in time. The horn line was on hands. The battery started. The battery. We had one person. Our section leader was watching drum major, and he would dud us in for every single one of those rolls. He would watch hands to dud us in, and Mike had a specific count of a specific measure that the roll needed to stop by. So he didn't care when it stopped as long as it was by that time. So he literally was like, we just want this sound. Like the bass drums are literally playing it with puffies. The roll, if you were to look at the sheets, the roll is literally at piano to mezzo piano back to pianissimo. Like it's literally so subtle. And all he wanted it to be was like, you're listening to this beautiful thing, and then you just hear this rumble come out of nowhere, and it keeps haunting you. And as long as it stopped by that point, I mean, he would literally tell us, like, if the roll's out of time, okay. Like, if it's...
That's not what he cares about.
Literally, watch any lot video from the summer. We go 8 and in from the Met for all 4 of the rolls, and the Met cuts out.
Yeah.
We don't even use the Met. And so, yeah, it just got to the point where it was so challenging. I felt very underratedly challenging because, I mean, it just simply was, we got to be consistent. Like, you gotta know your muscle memory. You got to develop it. And I hope all 3 nights in a row you're on the same page.
It's like listening eights, but a roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
Mike,
basically.
From what I remember, that doesn't surprise me at all to hear that about having like, all right, I don't care if the roll is in time, it has to stop at this point. Like Mike was the king of the formula when it came to timing stuff, when it came to making things line up on the field. He's the king of like, this is exactly when this needs to start, this needs to happen. You're going to anticipate the hands by an eighth note or a triplet partial to make this line up. He was very good at that.
And I will say, too, Mike, I will say that dude does love playing in time. Because the rest of that book, I mean, it was... The rest of that book, besides that opening moment and the ballad stuff, was on the grid for the most part.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, of course, we were stock drum corps, we're in subs. All right, the Mets in, we're getting chunks, repping phrases, but yeah. So yeah. And I think now that I think about it, for those, if we're going back to it, those 4 rolls. The first 3 were like that. The 4th one was in time. Like, we played it in time, yes.
Yeah.
And then it led into, gridded 8th notes, just right on the grid. So
because you guys, like, worked your way over and like connected to the core and then like added on. It was really cool. It was a cool visual moment
Dude,
as well.
someone noticed it. Yes. All right.
Well, hopefully the judges noticed it because I watched it once and noticed it.
Yeah,
I feel like I need to go back and watch this BK show again. It's been a while.
You probably do. Speaking of anticipation, we just kind of before this opening segment talked about it. You like in the ballad, you're over there on like the 5-yard line. Like,
oh my God.
I'm assuming somebody's reading the hands. Like the coordination between, so the snares are on like the 5-yard line. Then the tenors and basses are on like the 30-yard line, but further back, like behind the front hash. And then obviously the front ensemble they are centered on the 50. So the environmental coordination there, was that a moment too where it was just kind of like, I watched that and I have like PTSD of like percussion ensemble nightmares trying to line stuff up. And yeah.
Well, here's how it went down, I guess. So we played movement 2, stock drum corps movement 190, booking it, playing notes. So the very last note of movement 2 was a tempo change. And the horn line was, so if you go and watch that show, you'll know what movement 2 is. It's super long, whatever. Then the very end of it, the battery comes literally, like we're literally on the front sideline, basically, right behind the pit. And we play some loud stuff with the horn line. We play it, and then it's silent for a few seconds, and the battery just comes back in randomly. And as that's happening, you'll notice that the horn line is already playing their ballad. Like literally, like they are marching. We're playing 190, and they were playing. It was like 70 something, I think. And how that worked was the battery didn't exist. All we did was play it clean and not worry about time. Dude, let me just rephrase. We did not play that at 190. No, it was so much slower. It was written at 190, and we were like, clean sounds good. So that was happening. The horn line was playing in time the whole entire ballad. The snares do the rippled buzz effect thing, Broken City 2018 thing. Yeah. And then we go over to the 5-yard line, and what happened was I was the one that dudded us in for the first lick. I was in the back of the form, like when we were facing backfield.
No pressure.
Yeah, dude. When we were facing backfield, when we went to the 5-yard line, we were facing backfield, and I was in the back of the form. So Mike just, like when we were staging that in the very beginning, he just walked up to me and said, "You're gonna hear when the horn line gets to this very moment, you duck the snares in. Like you just you're not like no one's watching. You open your ears." And as soon as it'll feel right, and duck the snares in. And
it'll feel right. You're
just
like,
trust your gut. Just trust your gut.
Dude, oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's one thing.
Dude, and imagine too, like you get in like your first dome environment. You're like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to hear it.
Yeah, about that. So anyway, we don't talk about that. So,
does that mean you screwed it up at one point?
No.
Oh, well done.
No.
I'm just being a dick. Continue.
No, you're good, bro. You're good. So I would duck the snares in. We play the first lick. As this is happening, the horns just aren't stopping. Like they're playing their whatever slow tempo. They're being a normal horn line in a ballad situation. We play the first lick, and then we're turned around, so I'm in the front of the form now, so it's not on me anymore. Our center snare was in the very back, so he dudded us in for the next 3 or 4 or 17 licks, however many we had. I don't remember. So this whole entire time, it was the exact same situation with my responsibility for the first lick. Mike just walked up to Sam and was like, when you hear this from the horn line, like you dud him in, right? So that's how that worked out. It took so much time to get it consistent with. There was a lot of trading off of the snares playing an up and down roll, and then the basses and quads picking it up.
Yeah.
And playing that. 25 yards away. So, there was zero communication between the basses and quads in that. It was, we had to be a snare line, they had to be a tonal line, and they had to be consistent, 100% consistent with them. Whoever was dudding them in had to be 100% consistent and know what the horn line was doing. And Sam for the snares had to know what the horn line was doing for the snares. So there was zero teamwork. It was like, hey, we're a section, you're a section, go over there and we'll do our thing and you do your thing.
That's wild too, because in the lot, the passing of time from the pod to pod seemed so seamless, which I'm sure on the field felt completely different.
It didn't. And the reason it didn't,
okay.
well, and the reason it didn't is it kind of goes back to what I was just saying about, like, no matter, like, the fact that obviously in the lot, we're literally standing right next to the quads and bass drums. So yes, it sounds different, but it didn't feel different because no matter what, we had a specific time where we knew we would be playing, and they had their specific time where they knew they'd be playing. So,
gotcha.
Like, yes, we knew it was going to sound different because it's like, oh gosh, like they're like right next to us now and not 25 yards away. And then, it worked out because the consistency transferred to the field where it's like, all right, we know not to listen. We know that we rely on Sam basically, and no pressure, Sam, love you, shout out. And we do the gig and go home.
It is.
Yep.
That, I can't decide if that is the scariest moment of my drum corps career or starting the MCM show and dudding in the snares for the opening snare break and then running down a ramp. I can't decide which one had given me more nightmares.
Well, I don't know if the BK I don't know if the BK thing is the scariest thing for you. It's definitely one of the more ballsy things I've seen a group ever do.
It was,
yeah,
dude, it was so fun to be a part of. Like, that's all I really can say about it. Like, that show was humbling to be a part of. It had a really meaningful message that the members really bought into and connected to. It was hip. It was really cool.
I think the whole BK thing is just an experience in and of itself. Like, when we would go watch, like, Mike and I were there for finals week, and we caught BK at the end of prelims night. It was inside because it was raining, and then we went and watched. Like, since we caught the end of it, we're like, we have to go watch semifinals night. Like, we have to. Like, we just have to. And I think that the best thing about the lot experience while watching BK was just that it was an experience that I felt like I was immersed in a movie. Like, you guys are doing these awesome warm-up exercises. Like, the vibe is just flowing through the crowd. Like, everybody's bobbing their head. They're into it.
It felt like a production.
Must have felt awesome.
It felt like a production. Like, it didn't feel like we were just watching people play music or their show music.
Yeah, it just felt like you were immersed in the vibe of the ensemble, and the fact that you guys do like one and done reps on the show chunks.
Yeah, that was
just like nope, you get one chance. That's all there is.
Yeah,
it's like a psychological like builder.
Yeah, man, and no, and thank you. Like, it was, like I said, it was humbling, and it was it was super cool. And I think, a lot of the discussion, like, anyone in the activity talks about, like, the comparison of, like, groovy lot warm-ups versus let's put our toes together and play some eights. And I think what people might misinterpret Mike's lot experience as, whether it's BK or BCP or whatever, I think they might interpret it as, like, they automatically hear, like, these really hip things, and they are automatically kind of go into assumptions of, oh, like, they're just trying to be cool. But I cannot tell you how I can't express how helpful those exercises were to that book. Like, and I mean, I'm sure any year of BK that I wasn't on, or any year BCP that I've never been in, like, has the way the feeling of those exercises translates into the hands, and the concepts, like the true meaning behind the exercises, like 100% translates to the way he writes in the book. And yeah, it was awesome. You made the comment about kind of just it feeling like a production and it feeling like a vibe. I mean, I thought the beautiful thing about it was that we never, the lot was never anything we really talked about. It was just, we're on the bus, and it always felt the same. We're heading in the show. We weren't that group that would get off the bus in halves and walk in step to the lot, and like there was no hugging and seeing friends. Like it was chill. Like, we had some downtime when we got there. Like we had some time to go support other friends and other groups. Mike's a firm believer in that. He just loves the activity in general. And so, I felt it really, it eased our mind a lot, knowing that, nothing was ever a rush. Nothing was ever a huge, pain in the rear, I guess, to kind of get like our minds wired for the lot. It was just, hey, like your friends and family are here to support you. Like, we're going to let you go give them the attention and the hugs that they deserve because they're taking their time to support you. And then let's go throw down one and done and go kill it in the show.
Hell yeah.
So, it was awesome, man.
Yeah, that's all part of Mike's mastery of managing the mentalities and mental states of his members. He did the same thing at Blue Coast. Tons of downtime, never rushed. It worked great.
Yeah, man. For sure.
I guess to finish up here, we'll kind of transition to the last thing you did, which was the last thing that a lot of people did, unfortunately. So your not age out, but your last season here, MCM cut short. You had mentioned earlier that you wanted to go for a different experience. Obviously, I'm sure you got that, and were opened up to some new ideas of thought, new avenues of thought from that staff. Were there like things that you guys had planned for the show that you just like never got in because it got cut short?
When you say plan, okay, help me define this. Do you mean like what we already had on the floor, additional details to that, or like the rest of the show? Obviously, our show was
yeah, I think most people's show wasn't done, but they may not, since depending on what they're doing this winter too, obviously.
Right.
Was there anything like crazy that like you had special plan? Like, man, I wish people had seen that.
Yeah.
Oh, rip.
Yeah. Man, I mean, and I think even just that season, God, that was crazy. That I think even what we already had going truly felt really special. Like it felt like we lit a fire kind of early, and we were pretty much sprinting with it at that point, especially going kind of through the Dayton regional. We felt really awesome coming out of that weekend. And we ended up, before COVID really hit, I remember it was like we did the Dayton rehearsal weekend, and then we had a full rehearsal weekend the very next weekend. And I remember that was our last time together, but I remember like we walked out of that weekend like, hell yeah, like we've got this thing going. If we don't stop, it's going to be where we want it to be.
Did you guys beat X that weekend?
Yeah, yes, we did.
If my memory serves me, I think you guys did. But somebody in the comments check us on that.
Like 2 points. It was like 2 points.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe we did. Yes,
it was healthy.
We did. Yeah. No, it was awesome. The show, man, I'll never forget like the first member meeting early season when Shane and the design team sat us down and they were doing the show announcement, and
we're gonna have 20 gongs on the floor.
Dude, I'll never forget. Like he showed us the uni, and we were like, "Oh, yeah." Okay. This is super rad. And then, heard the beats, whatever, normal season goes on, and we just felt like it was special. And we did have, let's see, what did we have? Um, I believe we had like the first draft of the closer on the floor. Obviously, that was never put in public yet, but we had it on the floor. I don't even know. I mean, the season's over. I mean, I'm sure I'm allowed to say this on here, so I'm sorry, MCM, if I'm not allowed to. I love you. But we had like the first draft of it on the floor all the way up through like the final note, and then we were gonna have some really dope stuff going on after that last note to really end the show. So
okay, cool.
In case, I'm not gonna spoil that in case that's a future thing, like in case it's
incorporated in some other idea of a show.
Right.
All right,
so
I feel you.
That's fair. That's a fair point. We'll allow it.
Okay, word. No, but it was super cool. So many similarities and differences from BK to MCM. So professional, very high standard and expectation out of the members, staff to members and members to staff. Everyone's very holding each other accountable. And yeah, I mean, I really could ramble on all day, so I'll hand it back to you, and you can ask whatever you're wanting to ask. But
no, that's all good. Yeah, sometimes when you get nostalgic like that, you just you get going, and you're like, oh man, we had this and we had this, and yeah, I can see the wheels turning. I can see the wheels turning in your head about like, I don't want to ruin this. They might use it, so I've been there, but we had to ask because that's what we do.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I guess I went through pretty much everything on my list except for like two things. One is, did you have to invest in a plethora of sunscreen on tour? Because you're a pretty fair skinned dude.
Oh man, this man just threw me. Dude, I'll never forget. This happened to our bass 2 on tour also, Aaron Newman. Like there was this one day where like Mike, you know Mike, so you can probably relate to what I'm about to say, but like he is just super all the time, just like genuinely concerned about the health of the membership.
Yes.
Like he's just like very like, are you getting enough sleep? Like, do you have enough food? Like, are you like, which is super awesome. But I'll never forget this one day during spring training. I was like, I had my shirt off, but it was like around my neck, and my shoulders down, lobsters, completely lobsters.
Oh man!
I'll never forget Mike. Like he was like, all right, Taha was like 8 and in, and he hits the Met, and Mike in the middle of the Met count off, he like cut, and he just like frantically looks in his backpack, grabs sunscreen, runs over to me, pours it on me, and it's like, it's like, rub this on yourself.
Put it everywhere.
He's like, put it everywhere. And Mike, he called me Red all summer. Like he was like, hey, Red. Like that's what he called me. I mean, he knew my name. It was just like, that's just what he liked to call me or whatever. And he called me Bobblehead too. That was kind of fun. But but yeah, so it was kind of like this like weird half joking like, hey, Bobblehead, quit bobbling your head. No, I'm serious. Like,
no, for real.
No, for real. But he's chill about it as always. But no, I'll never forget that. Yeah, I definitely was always sunburnt. 365 days a year around him, always sunburnt.
I don't envy that.
Yeah, dude, it's pretty bad. I'm pretty sure because of drum corps, my nose is literally forever red. Like it's like I don't think it'll ever take away the pinkness and the redness of it. It's bad.
Did you have one of those like all covering hats, like not a baseball cap, You know what I'm talking about?
The Gilligan's Island hat?
Yeah, like there's a
Bucket
brim
hat?
around the entire thing. Like I feel like that's something you should have just been having on at all times. Just protect my face and neck from everything.
Dude, probably. Yeah, I remember like the actually I remember like in the beginning of spring training, I think I might have shown up to move-ins with one, but I do remember like halfway through spring training, ProMark sent us a bunch of hats. And so the whole battery was like wearing them or whatever. So I ended up with just a regular ball cap or whatever. But yeah, so good times. I miss the drum corps grind.
We all do.
I guess the last question I have is, so you have added a collage of tattoos for your groups that you've marched. It seems like if the Chiefs go back to back, are you getting a Chiefs tattoo like your dad?
Oh, dog. No.
I've only built that up. Just built it up and just pulled the rug right from under it. Just no. Absolutely not.
No.
No, it's totally hilarious and a total meme for sure. But I will never. I don't think I'm the type that'll ever get a tattoo unless it's like truly meaningful to me. Like I go to Chiefs games. I go to Chiefs games all the time. I'm a huge diehard fan, raised one, but nah, man, go band.
There it is.
Well, I can't think of a better way to wrap this up than on that note. So I think we got to everything. Lewis, this has been great. Let me reiterate the spiel. See if I can get through it again. Here we go. Hit subscribe on YouTube, like the video, drop a comment, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, follow on Facebook and Instagram for updates about the podcast, anything else. Hit up Lone Star Percussion for all of your percussive equipment needs. Save $10 on any order over $50 with code AGEDOUT. It's in the description. Patreon.com/AgedOutPodcast for other financial support. And again, Lewis, this has been great. Everybody else, we'll see you in the next one.
Peace.
Dude, thanks. Word.